Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we're diving into something completely different. If you're with us for our last deep dive into Django, you know we explored a massive batteries-included web framework, right? It had that whole comprehensive model template view architecture and just tons of built-in functionality. Well, today we're looking at Flask. And Flask is a lightweight, deliberately minimalist framework that takes a completely contrasting philosophical approach. It hands you, the developer, way more direct control and flexibility. But, and this is a big but, that freedom comes at the very real cost of leaving behind all those out-of-the-box tools we saw with Django. By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly what makes Flask's philosophy so unique, how to actually build with it, and when its minimalism goes from being a challenge to a major advantage.
So, I want you to really think about this for a second. What if your web framework gave you nothing but the absolute bare minimum? Just imagine a framework that handles only the absolute essentials of web traffic and explicitly, deliberately leaves nearly every other decision entirely up to you. I'm talking no assumptions, no prepackaged tools, just a totally blank canvas. Well, that is exactly what we're tackling today.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the core philosophy of Flask.
You'll hear the buzzword micro framework thrown around a lot. But listen, micro does not mean Flask is somehow limited in what it can actually pull off. Not at all. It specifically means that the framework's core is deliberately kept incredibly small and minimal. Basically, Flask focuses on just one thing: handling your incoming web requests and your outgoing web responses. And that is literally it. Any additional functionality, you add that separately, entirely as you need it.
This perfectly illustrates the sheer contrast here. Think about Django. It ships out of the box with an ORM, a templating engine, a massive authentication system, and a ready-to-go administrative interface. It's got the whole shebang. Flask, on the other hand, gives you just that minimal request and response core. It explicitly leaves every other architectural decision squarely in your hands. You want a database? You pick it. Need an admin panel? You're building or integrating it yourself. It's essentially the ultimate bring-your-own-tools approach to web development.
Moving on to Section 2, let's look at building the basics.
It is wild how fast you can get moving with this. I mean, after a quick pip install Flask, you can write a fully working web application in just 4 simple steps. Step 1, import Flask. Step 2, initialize the app. Step 3, you toss in a route decorator. And Step 4, you just write a standard Python function that returns your content. That's it. When you compare this ridiculously minimal starting point to Django's much more involved setup with its separate settings file and defined apps, it's night and day. With Flask, that deliberate minimalism is staring you right in the face from the very first line of code.
Let's zoom in a little on that routing piece. If you already know Django, routing in Flask is going to feel broadly familiar, but the syntax itself is just so much more compact. You literally just define a route using the @app.route decorator directly above your Python function to specify the URL pattern. Then, Flask automatically triggers that specific function the second a matching incoming request hits. It is so incredibly clean.
And honestly, dealing with dynamic data is just as smooth. Flask routes easily capture dynamic values embedded right there within the URL itself. So say you've got a URL path for an article. You just drop article ID right into angle brackets. Boom. Flask automatically captures that value and passes it straight in as an argument to your corresponding view function. It really just makes handling dynamic URLs totally effortless.
All right, Section 3, the extension ecosystem.
Let's talk databases, because this is honestly one of the most glaring differences from Django. Flask deliberately has absolutely no built-in object relational mapper, or ORM. None whatsoever. You have to go out and choose your own database library. Now, the most popular go-to choice in the Flask community is usually SQL Alchemy. But really, this requirement just perfectly highlights Flask's overarching philosophy. You get complete freedom to pick the exact tools that fit your project, rather than being forced into some predetermined cookie-cutter approach.
And you know, it's not just databases either. You essentially build out your app using an entire ecosystem of independent extensions. Need a database? Flask SQL Alchemy gives you a really convenient wrapper for that. Need users to sign in? Flask Login handles authentication. Building APIs? Grab Flask RESTful. Every single one of these is a totally separate, independent package that you install and configure strictly as needed. Now, the huge upside here is your app only carries the exact weight of what you actually need. The downside? Well, you personally bear a lot more responsibility for researching, selecting, and correctly wiring all these pieces together yourself.
So, what about the front-end display? Well, Flask actually relies directly on Ginger 2 as its default templating agent. To display data, you just use this super convenient function called render_template, and you pass in your template's file name along with whatever data you want to render. And hey, quick pro tip for you. These templating skills are super transferable. Even Django can technically be configured to use Ginger 2 instead of its own default engine. So really, getting good at Ginger 2 is a complete win-win no matter which framework you end up sticking with.
Let's move into Section 4, structuring your application.
So unlike Django's highly opinionated, prescribed app-based structure, Flask really doesn't enforce any strict project layout. If you're building something small, honestly, an entire Flask app can totally live inside just one single Python file. It's great. But as projects grow, and you definitely don't want to be scrolling through a massive 5,000-line file, developers usually adopt a pattern called an application factory, mixed with a structural feature called blueprints. This combo lets you cleanly organize larger apps into logically separated chunks, kind of similar in spirit to Django separate apps, but with Flask never actually forcing your hand.
Section 5. Real-world Flask projects.
Okay, this all brings us to the million-dollar question, right? When does Flask's intense minimalism actually become a genuine, meaningful advantage over a heavyweight like Django? Like, when does it actually pay off to start with a blank slate?
Let's imagine a specific real-world scenario. Say you're tasked with building a small, highly focused internal tool. Maybe it's just a simple dashboard, pulling and displaying data directly from an existing company database. It doesn't need user accounts. It doesn't need a massive, dedicated admin interface. It absolutely does not need the considerable weight of Django's built-in feature set. In a situation exactly like this, Flask is an absolute powerhouse. You could have a basic, fully functional version of this dashboard up and running in a fraction of the time it would take just to finish initializing an equivalent Django project from scratch. You save massive amounts of time precisely because you aren't fighting with or configuring features you simply don't need.
Which brings us to our final section, summary and next steps.
If you are going to dive into Flask, definitely keep these best practices in your back pocket. First off, reach for Flask when you specifically need a small, focused app or when you just really crave maximum flexibility over your tech stack. Second, the second your project starts outgrowing a single file, immediately look into adopting the application factory pattern and blueprints to scale cleanly. And third, and seriously, I cannot stress this one enough, take the time to thoroughly research your extensions. Unlike Django's carefully curated ecosystem, the overall quality and the long-term maintenance of random third-party Flask extensions can vary wildly, so please do your homework.
Stepping back to look at the bigger picture for a second, we also have to consider the modern web landscape. Back in the day, frameworks were mostly focused on serving fully rendered HTML pages directly to human eyeballs. But today, we are constantly building APIs, these backend services that serve structured JSON data directly to other applications. And because of its lightweight nature, Flask's minimalism has historically made it an incredibly popular, go-to choice for building exactly those kinds of services.
But that leaves us with a really fascinating, somewhat provocative thought. If Flask is so great for APIs specifically because it's minimal, what if a modern framework was built exclusively for high-performance JSON routing right from day one? Well, as it turns out, Fast API has recently exploded onto the scene as a seriously compelling alternative designed from the ground up with that exact use case in mind. And that is exactly what we are going to be unpacking next time. If this explainer helped you finally click with how Flask completely flips the script on Django, make sure you're subscribed because we still have 70 more Python packages to explore together. Thanks for hanging out and keep learning.